Hey guys, it's Nate, aka TheFutAccountant. Welcome back to the channel. On a rather slow day of FC26 news, we came across something that's actually being ignored when it comes to gameplay changes coming in FC26. And this one, rather, is going to impact the game a lot. Today we're talking about accelerate types and how they're looking different from FC25 and maybe how the meta one in FC25 might not be meta this year. Also, we have another big piece of news related to one of our first moves we will make as we log into the web app just 6 days from now. And we should, according to some of those tweets that we looked at yesterday, have the full ratings database on EA's website opened up and revealed today. No more ifs, ands, or buts. Are these cards accurate and leaks and all that? We'll have the actual cards in this website here. So we're going to talk about that and more in today's video. If you're excited to be one day closer to FC26, drop a like on the video, drop a hype on the video, and subscribe if you are new. Now, as we start this conversation today, I feel like we have to answer the obvious question: what is accelerate? Because we haven't had to think about this for a while, because at the end of FC25, where we've just come from, almost all the player stats are 95 plus, and these really don't matter that much. But accelerate, I think, was implemented back in FIFA 23 by EA to try to make the game more lifelike, because obviously in real life, a player like Victor Gyokeres or Erling Haaland is not going to run the same and be the same on the pitch as a player like Vini Jr. or another small, fast player as an attacker like Rafinha, maybe as well, right? They're kind of different in the way they're just built physically in game, and their stats inside of their cards show it. And I think that's what this whole accelerate system is supposed to depict. Of course, you've got 3 different main levels of accelerate. You've got explosive for the short and fast players, you've got controlled, which is the middle ground, and you've got lengthy, which is for the tall players who have very high strength. And that's exactly how this is broken down. It's all about your strength versus your agility. Gyokeres is a prime example in FC26 of a lengthy player. He's got 91 strength and 82 agility. 82 agility is not bad, but his strength is so much higher than his agility. That's what makes him lengthy. And of course, the opposite for Vini. Vini's got 94 agility and only 65 strength. So he is a explosive card type. And there's a lot of cards that are on both sides of the coin. And there's also a lot of cards that are in the middle with controlled. Basically, a controlled player just has very similar agility to strength in game. And this is all done by a calculation which is changing in FC26, and that's why this matters, because lengthy over the past few years in this game has been more popular as a more meta option. In last year in FC25, think about it, like some of the cards that I used, like the flashback Cristiano Ronaldo SBC, this Gareth Bale, with chemistry styles, they were able to become a version of lengthy, and that just made them feel faster in game, specifically with sprinting and with the speed boost. I think that was a part of it in FC25 as well. Lengthy cards were meta. It wasn't like crazy meta like it was in FIFA 23. Everybody remembers when the whole accelerate system was implemented with the first year of the lengthy and the explosive and the controlled, and Erling Haaland went from 40,000 coins during early access to 400k because the lengthy meta was so overpowered. EA had to nerf it, even though they didn't say that they nerfed it. They definitely did. They said there was some dribbling slowdown that was happening, which is actually similar to one of the things they just talked about in the FC26 closed beta that they were, adding a change to for the start of FC26 in early access. Just kind of thought of that there. But this is related to accelerate, and yeah, they had to patch it because it was so good. Like, look at that, man. Inform Erling, or not Inform Erling, Inform Sorloth was a card that was crazy during this time as well, during FIFA 23. But of course, when the last 2 years have happened of FC24 and FC25, EA didn't just have controlled, lengthy, and explosive. They have had controlled lengthy, they've had mostly lengthy, and then fully lengthy. And the same thing for explosive, right? You've had controlled explosive, or what is it, mostly explosive and something else explosive. Like, there's been so many different things to kind of look through. It's gotten confusing, and a lot of people have just opted to go for the lengthy because that seems to feel the best in the game. This year is where the changes come into play. They're making it more simple. They're going back to the FIFA 23 way of accelerate. There's only 3 types. We are just sticking with the explosive, the controlled, and with the lengthy, but it's the equation changes in here and the height changes. And the fact that this is now separated between men and women players in this game, it's actually going to be a pretty sizable change, I think. And I've already started to look through the database, and I'm going to show you some of this stuff today. There are some players who used to be explosive that were pretty good because they were quick with their first step in game with a quick step play style to go with it, but they're no longer going to be explosive because they're too tall, or maybe they're not going to be lengthy anymore because of some of the new changes here. Lengthy is a whole lot easier to be in FC26. Explosive, it's a whole lot harder to be that in FC26, and that's what I want to discuss here. These are the different calculations that are changing this year. For explosive, you have to have 10 higher agility than strength. So for Vini Jr. here, obviously he's got 94 agility and 65 strength. So that's what you're looking at. Those are the stats that impact this accelerate. Once again, agility minus strength has to be greater than or equal to 10 stat points. Your acceleration has to be 80, and your agility has to be minimum of 65. And your height is another big thing with this. Height has to be at or below 182 centimeters. And for females, it has to be below 162 centimeters, 5'4". So that is the only way you will be explosive in FC26. And let me tell you, with that calculations being 10, there's a lot less players that are explosive this year, and there's a lot more that are lengthy. As we mentioned, look at this. If you flip it around for the lengthy players, the taller ones, right? The strength only has to be 4 stats higher than agility. You have to have a minimum strength stat of 65 and acceleration of 40, but you have to be at least 183 centimeters tall for a man, and for a woman, you have to be 164 centimeters tall. We have never had, I looked back on FC25, I can't say never, I guess, but I looked back last year at FC25, we have never, said it again, we have not had in the last year a women's footballer in FC25 that was lengthy, like actual full lengthy. And this year we do, because it is, as you can see here, a lot easier to be lengthy. Let's dive into some of the cards that are already added to Footbin. These are all the lengthy cards to start out FC26 from just rare gold items from the top 100 players list that have been added in so far. As you can see here, there's a lot. I don't know what the goalkeepers are doing in here. That doesn't make any sense. But even if you take those cards out, you've still got a lot of players like Osimhen. You've got Saliba. You've got women's players like we mentioned that were not in here last year, like Heaps, Williamson, Hegerberg, Bunny Shaw. Very interesting striker card there. Lucy Bronze, actually Heaps on a lengthy in the midfield with incisive pass plus. Could be very good. Gyokeres with the lengthy is going to be pretty good as a striker if lengthy is still good. Erling Haaland, of course, is one of the token lengthy cards that you always look at. But these are all the lengthy cards in FC26. Let me show you all the lengthy cards in FC25. Again, no women are in here, as you can see. You still have the Araujo, the Vlahovic, but even kind of the 86 plus cards, there's a lot less here. You've got Kane, VVD, Rudiger, Saliba, Magnan. Now, of course, this is because it was broken down into multiple sections last year, but it's easier to be lengthy this year, as you can see in here, and it's harder to be explosive. These are all the explosive cards in the top 100 ratings, and even a couple more that have been added in after that. In FC26, there's not that many. Salah, Mbappe, Dembele, Verts, Vini, got the big names in there, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, but then after that, it drops off pretty fast, and there's not as many players as there are on the lengthy side of things, and also players that are really popular for being fast in game, like Sophia Wilson. Notice the height here, 164 centimeters. She is above the cutoff for explosive. You have to be 162 centimeters or below for a woman in FC26 to be explosive, and she has been a card that has been explosive before. This is her FC25 card right here, and you can see she was base controlled, but with a couple of chem styles, you could easily make her explosive, and a lot of her promo cards later on in the year were explosive as well. And the opposite can be said for Heung-min Son, right? Heung-min Son, as you can see here, a lot of mostly explosives, but he is 183 centimeters tall, and with EA changing the height this year, it's max 182. So he cannot be explosive because he's too tall. That is what makes this actually matter a lot in FC 26, is some of the players are going to end up being controlled that used to be explosive, because explosive is harder to be this year, and more players are going to be able to be made lengthy because of this here. But a height changing, I don't have the FC 25 stats to really see the difference between the heights, but this is a change on height 100%. So the bottom line is, as we wait for the full database that is going to be coming out today, we've of course been only looking at leaked cards and leaked stats and stuff like that. The bottom line is that it looks like explosive is more rare this year. And you guys know, whenever I see something that's more rare, think about the enforcer playstyle that we've been talking about. Victor Gyokeres has that, one of the rare players with playstyle plus enforcer, and very few players even have the enforcer playstyle as a striker. Some of them do, but not a lot, right? That's kind of rare. That always makes me wonder, is it going to be overpowered? I just have to wonder, is explosive going to be overpowered this year? And this is something that's not been talked about that I feel like is actually worth listening to and talking about today, because this is going to give you just that little bit extra, hidden knowledge heading into FC 26. As you start to play with your players, you're like, wait, this dude's freaking rapid. What's going on here? Oh, he might be accelerate type, or explosive accelerate type. Sorry, maybe that's what it is. So I think with this change this year, it's going to be something we just have to kind of remember in the back of our minds, because of the way EA has changed it and the way it's going to impact cards. Now, it's going to be way easier to find players that are explosive and controlled and lengthy when the full database is out, especially once Footbin gets the full database, which I would imagine after EA updates this, it would not take very long. And it's going to take us actually playing the game to really feel this out as well. But it's worth thinking about now, like we mentioned, to plan ahead into 26 and just realize and remember, because this was looked over and not a lot of people have talked about this with all the other gameplay changes, like the dribbling and the passing and stuff like that. This is a big deal, as we will be controlling these players, and their accelerate types will matter in FC 26. And personally, I can't say that I felt a whole lot of a difference, but I haven't played enough games of this beta or the beta that I played when I was in Vancouver. So it's really going to take us getting on the actual game of FC 26 to really figure this out. So that is the first thing that I wanted to talk about today. The second thing doesn't deserve a whole video on it. I figured we could just fit it in today. It's the FC 26 starter pack. Guys, we're always used to nations, right? It's all about what's your starter nation, who you're going to pick to start out your ultimate team for that first pack that builds out your squad, and then you go turn in almost all those players anyway into SBCs. This year, according to the leaks from the beta, it is not the nation you're picking, it is a league. Men's and women's league combination here. We've got 6 choices. Of course, a lot of people are probably going to go for the Premier League or La Liga. And I think there's maybe a little bit of strategy in this, which we'll unpack a little bit more, of course, during the How to Start the Web App video that'll be coming soon. But I think Premier League might be the top option. Of course, a lot of people are going to pick it because it's the Premier League, but this is going to give you potentially players that could be used in objectives straight away. For what we saw at the end of yesterday's video, the leaked theme of this upcoming season pass, which is England, right? That might give you a little bit of a leg up there. One way the Premier League could be a problem, though, is usually Premier League cards all around are more expensive. So if you've got Prem cards in your club, but you need to do an SBC that requires chemistry for one of these early game SBCs, which again, we still don't know how they're going to look there, you might be paying more coins for those cards because they are Premier League. So I think you can go La Liga. That's a good option. Actually, a lot of people are looking at Serie A because some of the cards that are in there, a lot of the men's cards, not as many of the women's cards because they don't have the full women's league for the Serie A. Even MLS and NWSL, there's a lot of decent cards in there too. It's not like you're choosing that league to try to get a massive pack pull. You're more so just choosing that league to get your SBCs started off the ground, and hopefully a lot of players from different nations to be able to do SBCs in whatever way they get released. Again, we have our expectations, but we don't know how those early game SBCs are going to look. But we do have some expectations today for some refreshing SP on FC 25. Yes, guys, we're talking about this for the quick second at the end of the video. The weekly objectives are going to refresh today. So if you have not, or if you need to play manager career mode, player career mode, these are going to refresh once again, and you will be able to get the weekly ones done one last time. And we still have our fingers crossed for those of you guys that are not done with the season yet to get some sort of SP chase objective like EA. Just drop 20,000 SP. Just do it. Be nice. It's literally a week until the game. Let people get their 84 by 5 pack. on FC26. But that's the video for me today, guys. If you did enjoy, drop a thumbs up on it, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you're new. See you guys in a stream today. Hopefully the launch update pitch notes come out today as well. They may be tomorrow. We'll be talking about those for sure once they come out. Love you guys, man. See you in the video today. See you in the stream today. It's been TheFutAccountant. Peace out.